Well, good afternoon. Kia ora, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. I'm sorry that I'm not able to be here today. The reason is that Lizzie, my wife, and I were tested yesterday for COVID, and so I thought we'd avoided all the COVID, but now we've got it. So that's how it is. So we're not able, obviously, to travel up to be part of the service today. So my name's Bruce West, and when Sandra asked me to speak today as a friend of Max's, I was very honoured, but I thought to talk about Max, I feel like a mosquito in a nudist colony. I don't know where to start. But I've known Max since 1974, but in the last 20 years, we've become very good friends and we work and travel together many, many times into Asia, way up to Nepal, into Australia, South Pacific on many occasions. And when you travel with someone, as it were, for 24/7, you get to know them pretty well. And I would say what you saw with Max is what you got. We never once disagreed or had a disagreement. He's a very easy man to get on with. But I thought I don't just speak here as a friend of Max's, but I also speak on behalf of most of the people here who also consider him a friend. I've had messages from various parts of New Zealand and even into the South Pacific where people have said, I'm very sorry to hear of the loss of Max. He was a great friend. And so he was a friend of so many. Max was, I think, the most generous person I've ever known. We say of someone who's generous that they would give you the shirt off their back. And I don't know about his shirt, but I do know that we were in the Solomon Islands one time and Max gave his shoes to a pastor who'd come into our meeting who didn't have shoes. And Max loved shoes, and he had obviously had two pairs of shoes with him, and one pair he gave away to this brother. I think we could go on and talk about the computers he's given away, the desk and chairs we took up one time to the Solomons. I remember we arranged to get a chainsaw sent up into the Solomon Islands, and we'd sent school equipment and so on and so forth. And so I could spend all this time just speaking about the things that he gave and his generosity. But you here sharing this time will also have your stories of how generous Max was. He had a ferocious intelligence coupled with a photographic memory. He could remember names and places, and that astounded me. In fact, even if it was years before, he could always recall. And I just sort of thought, Lord, I wish I could have something like that. But he was special. He was a special man. I've never met people like that with a memory so clear and so precise. Max was a man of his word. And if he said he would get back to you, he always did. He maintained a high level of personal integrity. He was a hard worker also. Max was a man without guile, and he loved people. He would often say to me, his call in life was to help people. He had no agenda. Money meant nothing to him, apart from the fact that it helped him to help others. He would ring me sometimes and say, I've just received a check, or I've just opened my bank account, and there in my statement is amount of money has been sent to me, a substantial amount of money at times, but he would always say that money has gone straight away to someone to help someone or do something. He never clipped the ticket. He never had any personal gain in those kinds of things. He was a connector, Max, a great connector, and his connections went far and wide. And it was a bit like Google today. You'd ring Max if you wanted something done. You'd say, Max, this or that or the next thing. And he was always open to help you. And again, there would be lots of people today in this meeting this service today would say, I just rung him and he connected in and he sent back what he said he was doing. He was true to his word. If he couldn't help you, he would source someone who could help you. I've got down here, he loved movies and always purchased videos when we were overseas together. Max had a prophecy when he was just starting out in his ministry that he would be like Joseph and his bow would go over the wall. And that came to pass in an absolute way. He spilled over the wall and people ate of his fruit. Max would say to me, I'm white on the outside, but brown on the inside. I used to talk to him about these things. Why do you love the different cultures? Why do you love that? But he felt that that's where his heart was. He loved different ethnicities, ethnic people. He loved ethnic people. He'd always search out the stranger in the midst. And I remember one particular time, again, this illustrates it. We had some meetings. We were doing some meetings in Suva, in Fiji, some years ago, and the Prime Minister, Frank Bainimarama, was in the meeting, and afterwards we were invited to have some food with him, a light luncheon, and meet him, and I remember talking to him, and we talked about rugby because he loves rugby. Didn't talk about the coup, but I noticed that Max was talking to someone over in the corner. Just seemed to be talking to them and not really interested in coming over where we were talking together. And when we'd finished the meeting and finished lunch with the Prime Minister, I said to him, did you get a chance to talk to the Prime Minister? And he said, oh no, I was busy with someone. I was trying to work out something, he told me. But it's an interesting thing that sort of illustrates his life. He didn't see cultural, social ethnicity, social quality in anything that would put you apart from this person to that. He just mixed with whoever he could, and if he saw a need, he would sooner meet that need than have lunch with the Prime Minister. In fact, in the last decade, maybe a little bit more, one of the things of him coming and becoming an immigration advisor was so he could help people, and in particular the Filipino people whom he loved deeply. And I'm not sure, but I would guarantee him that there'd be a lot of Filipinos in this meeting today. He loved you, and he was so passionate about helping you, not just in immigration, but in your church life and so on and so forth. His tools of trade were his tablet, phone, and little black notebook. And he would joke that this is the book of life. Everything is here. And he would say, if you're not in my book, you've got to be pretty careful about how you handle your life hereafter. But on Wednesday of last week, a mighty totara fell and left a huge gap in the forest. And I doubt that we will ever meet anyone like Max, as gifted as that. He was an extraordinary human being, and it was a joy to be part of his life. So on behalf of everyone here today who would call Max a friend, I say, thank you, Max. You have enriched all of our lives, and your legacy lives on and will live on in our hearts. And in Australian vernacular, you were fair dinkum. Enter into your rest now. Well done, good and faithful servant. Sandra said in the last final hours of his life, he said to her, I see Jesus. And Max wasn't given to apparitions. He wasn't given, in fact, to anything that was sort of questionable. So what he saw, I'm not sure, but I believe that he saw the Lord with arms stretched out and saying, well done, you good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of the Lord. And I'll close off here with the last words, Max, that you said to me as I left the room just a few hours before you passed. And you said to me, we're brothers forever. God bless you.